of cake flour, 6 tablespoons of milk, 6 tablespoons of granulated sugar, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 tablespoon of melted salted butter. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. For my first step, I'll get my egg into a large bowl, grab a whisk, start whisking that up, add in all of my granulated sugar, our milk, and our melted butter. You can see how easy this recipe is. We only have 2 more ingredients. And then our flour and our baking powder. And we'll just sift that in. Perfect. I'll grab my whisk for the last time and just mix all of this together. So a really simple one today. Once it's well mixed, we are ready to fill our little donut pan. For today's recipe, I'm using a cake donut mold, and this is made by Houten. To make this really easy, I'm using a disposable piping bag fitted with a Houten 1A tip. So I'm going to fill that and then we're going to come back. My tray is ready to go. I have prepared the tray by spraying it with a little bit of vegetable non-stick spray. So I've got my batter in my piping bag. This is going to make this really simple. And the trick here is to not overfill. I'm going around just 1 loop. And that is it. If you overfill these, they will really blow up too much and they won't look like donuts anymore. So just 1 loop of batter. Just like that. And our last one. This is going to make quite a few donuts. Just clean up our tray right there. And we are ready to go. I'm going to pop these into my 425 degree Fahrenheit oven for about 7 minutes. So here we have our donuts right out of the oven. Extremely hot right now. I'm going to get these onto our little cooling rack. And there we have them. So I'll let these cool. I'm going to do the rest of them and then I'll come back and show you all of the donuts at the same time. So at this point, the whole batch has been baked. We have some smaller donuts, so less batter was used on these, more batter on these. So you can see these are quite a bit thicker. So you can see how thick these are compared to these. Now you might like these better, you might like these better. So the advantage to these ones is that they look like a donut on both sides. These here, they start not looking too much like a donut, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to be applying chocolate to this side anyway. So on to our next and last step. So for our last step, we're going to dip some of our donuts into this nice milk chocolate that I have here. So I'm just going to grab it, give it a little bit of a dip, swirl it, pull it out, and then just put it onto your tray. I'll do another one. And then right onto your cooling rack. I'll move these off. A little dip and a swirl. You can use any kind of chocolate that you want. You can put sprinkles on these if you wish as well. I'll do another one. And there we have it. So there we go. A really simple video. I guess just to finish off this video, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. So I've zoomed in just to show you these a little better, but I just wanted to show you what the interior looks like. So I'll just break one of these open. And there you can see a really nice cake interior. So hopefully the camera's picking this up. How nice these look. Really simple recipe. Really easy if you buy one of those little donut tins. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. That's it, and I'll see you next time. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to quickly make an apple pie rose. I have an apple which I've cored. I'm going to cut that in half. And then I'm going to cut little slices. I'm going to take all of my slices. I've got 1 cup of water here, right from the tap. And I'm going to put this into my microwave on high just for 1 minute. Once they come out of the microwave, just let them sit for about 30 seconds. That's going to make them a little bit softer so that we can bend them. And now I'm just going to drain off my hot water. I'll just get them into a bowl. What I have here is a piece of my all butter no fail pie dough. And I've just cut a little rectangle. And then what we want to do, we want to just gently start taking little pieces of apple, red side up or peel side up, and just start loading them all the way along. That one is a little thick. What I have here is granulated sugar mixed with cinnamon, and I just want to get that on there all the way along. That's good. And I'm going to fold this over. You can lock in the ends if you wish. I have a cupcake tin here ready to go. And then I'm just going to slowly start turning all of this. Just keep turning. And look at that. Isn't that nice? I'll put that in there. And now I'm going to pop this into my 375 Fahrenheit oven for about 50 minutes. Alright, here we are right out of the oven. This is extremely hot right now. I'm going to let it cool down and then I'm going to unmold it and then I'll come back. But I baked it for a total of 50 minutes at 375 Fahrenheit. The reason why you want to bake it a little bit longer is because there is a lot of pastry dough that has been wrapped around and you want to make sure that it's properly baked in the middle. So I'm going to let this cool down for about 15 minutes and then I'm going to remove it and I'll come back and show you the final product. This is about a half an hour later. My little apple pie rose has completely cooled, but before they cool, make sure that you use a little spatula or something plastic to get them out of your cupcake mold or they will stick. You want to get them out while they're still warm. So let's just give this a little bit of a spin. Now if you want it done a little bit less, don't put it in as long. Right here you can see a lot of that cinnamon sugar caramelized. I love that. And this is going to give a nice contrast. The outside is going to be a little bit more crunchy than the inside. The inside is going to be much more soft. But there we have it. Really nice. Guess I'll tilt it up so that you can actually see what it looks like and how really nice that looks. Now you could finish this off with a little bit of powdered sugar if you wish, which I'm going to do later on. There we have it. So that's it for this really fun video recipe. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. And if you're on Facebook, you can see my video there as well. And I will also post a few pictures of this closer up on my Pinterest page, which is pinterest.com/bakelikeapro. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Butter pie dough recipe. At the end of this recipe, there's going to be a clickable link on screen as well as in the description box, which will send you over to part 2 of the recipe, where we're going to use these ingredients to actually make the pie. So for right now, I'm going to remove these ingredients, and now with these 4 simple ingredients, we're going to start making our no-fail all butter pie dough recipe. So for our recipe today, you're going to need 2 cups of all-purpose flour. We're going to be using some ice water, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 3/4 cup of salted butter. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. For today's recipe, I'm using a food processor to make this really simple, but you can do this recipe by hand using a pastry cutter or 2 knives, and I do have recipes that show those techniques on my YouTube channel. So I'm going to get in all of my flour. To that, I'm going to get in all of my butter. And my butter is cold, and that's very important. You do not want to use warm butter or butter that it's at room temperature. You want to make sure that it's cold. I'm going to take my salt and get that in there as well. And get my lid on. And I am using salted butter in this recipe, and I've added that little bit of salt. If you want to use salted butter and don't want to add the extra salt, you can do that as well. Once this is on, I'm just going to start pulsing this. And I want to break down all of that fat, in this case the butter, into little tiny pieces. So I'm just looking at it very carefully in the side here to see. My butter is cold, so it takes a little while for it to break down. And that looks good. I'm just going to lift this off. I'm going to unplug my food processor, just because safety is always in the back of my head. You don't want to put your hand in here and accidentally have your food processor going on. And now I can look at this and you can see that all the butter has broken down into tiny pieces. And that's exactly what I want. So now I've got my ice water, and I'm going to start adding in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put my lid back on, and then using the pulse again, we'll plug our machine in, and then just start pulsing this. And as soon as this forms a ball, I want to stop, because I do not want to overwork the dough. A little bit more. It's almost there, and there we have it. Perfect. I'll unplug my food processor one more time, and there we have our dough. So I'll bring this out, and you'll quickly know with experience when to stop your mixer. And this dough right now is still very cold, and that's what I want. If you feel that your dough is warm, that means you have overworked it. So it's nice and cool. And at this point I want to split this into 2 discs. So I'm going to grab my little bench scraper and I just want to eyeball this and get it about right. So we get 2 discs, and then at this point I just want to start forming a ball like that, and then I'm going to wrap these with plastic wrap. So you just want to get them kind of flat, and the flatter they are when you put them into the fridge to rest, the easier it is to roll them out later on. So I'm going to grab a piece of plastic, get it on here, and then I'm just going to press it down. Try to make sure it's round. And then we're going to pop these into the fridge. We want them to rest. The reason why I put the dough in the fridge to rest is that by using the machine or even doing it by hand, you have activated the glutens that are in the dough. And if you use this right away, what would happen is as you're rolling it out, you would start seeing the dough shrink. So by placing this into the fridge and letting it rest, it calms down the glutens, everything slows down, it chills, and when you bring it out later on, it's much easier to roll, and you'll notice that the pie dough doesn't shrink as much when you're rolling it out. So we'll get our next dough, and we've got 1, 2, get that on there. I'm just going to flatten it out again. That's good. And then I'm going to pop those into the fridge, and I'm going to leave them there a good hour. You could leave them in there 2 hours, 3 hours. You could leave them in overnight and use them the next day. It really doesn't matter. Leave them in at least an hour so that they really chill down and the glutens really relax. So I'm going to pop these into my fridge, and then we'll come back later in the next video where we're going to use these doughs with these ingredients, and we're going to make our really simple apple pie. So that's it. You should see now a clickable link on your screen which is going to take you to part 2 of this video. So I'm just going to wait here for a second. My link should be up on the screen by now, and then you'll be able to click that. You'll also see up in the right hand corner of your device or on your computer, there's a little circle with an I, with the letter I. Today I'm going to be making something really yummy, and these are my double chocolate white chocolate chip cookies. And here are the ingredients that we need. 3/4 of a cup of cocoa powder, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 eggs, 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 cup of white chocolate chips, this is 225 grams, 1 cup of unsalted butter, 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. A recipe note, if you are using salted butter, simply remove the salt from my recipe. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. For our first step, I'm going to get all of our nice butter into a large bowl. Okay, that's good. To that, my white granulated sugar and our brown sugar. So I'm just going to break that up a little bit with a fork. And whenever you're measuring out your brown sugar, you want to pack it tightly into your measuring cup. So as you're pushing it into your cup, push it down so that it gets really nice and compact like you see here. Okay, that's good. And I'm going to grab my mixer and we're going to start creaming this together. Once you see that the whole mixture is starting to come together, we can add a little bit of moisture. I'll add in my first egg, and that will really help with the creaming process. As soon as that extra moisture gets into the actual sugars, everything starts to really come together, as you see here. Then we'll add in our second egg. And then I'll add in my vanilla. And I'm using pure vanilla extract in this recipe. If you can find pure, always use pure. It's really, really much nicer than the artificial stuff. I'll add in my salt. And then we'll sift in our dry ingredients. So we'll get our lovely cocoa powder in there. And all of our flour. And our baking soda. Grab the back of a spoon and I'll just push this through. If you're only using flour, you can take your hand and go like this. But if you are using cocoa powder, it's good to use the back of a spoon because otherwise you're going to get your hands dirty. We'll grab our mixer. Speed number 1. And I'm just going to slowly start incorporating all of the dry ingredients into our wet. So we're about halfway there. Another minute or so and we should be done. Okay, so this is about a minute later and it's all nicely mixed. So for our last thing, we're going to take our chocolate chips and I'm just going to get those in there. And what I did was I opened up the package and I took a few out. And we're going to keep these out to put on top of our actual cookies just before they go into the oven. And now we'll just mix these in quickly. Okay, that's perfect. So we're all set to go. I have my cookie sheet here and a piece of parchment paper. This is optional. You can go directly onto your cookie sheet if you wish, but I'm going to use parchment today. I've got myself a medium-sized scoop, and you can do this by eye, just with a spoon, but I'm just going to go and use my scoop today. So I'll do, I guess, a row of 3. Oh, and this dough smells really, really good. So I'll whip through these and I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, once that is done, now we have the little chips that I had left over, and you can just take these and just put them on the top. Do 3 or 4, doesn't really matter. You could put a lot more. You could also take a fork and push all of these down if you wanted to. I'm not going to, I'm just going to get them in like that. So I'll just keep going at this. I'll be back in a second. Okay. And by putting these on the top, it really illustrates what kind of cookie it is. It's nice to have a cookie that looks good. If you ever go into the little cookie shops, you'll notice that if you look really carefully at a cookie, you'll see that some of these have been placed on the top just before they go in. That's just to promote the cookie. They want to make the cookie look as appetizing as possible because they are in the business of selling cookies. So there we go. So I'm going to pop this into my 350 degree oven for about 10 minutes. So what I think I'm going to do, there's a lot of dough here. I am going to bake off all of these and then I'm going to come back when they're completely done. So my first batch is done and it's cooling now. I did those for 10 minutes. The second batch, I'm going to show you something slightly different. I'm just going to take my fork and I'm just going to press a little bit onto each one just to give each cookie a little bit more surface area for the oven heat to warm up. So that looks good. Oh, one left. And then I'm going to put on the chocolate chips and pop these into the oven for the same amount of time, 10 minutes. So I'll do that, and then I'm going to actually really come back when all of them are done. Alright, so I'm back. I have cleaned up and I have all my beautifully baked cookies, and I have a total of 44 cookies out of this batch. I just wanted to show you an overall view first. So these are the first ones that we did. These are the ones that I did not press with the fork. I just scooped them out and we put the chocolate on top. Then this row here and this row are the ones that we pushed down with the fork. And then what I did was, for a third option, I used the back of a spoon and pushed down all of these cookies here, except these two. So we have all of these were pushed down with the back of the spoon, and these two are some of the originals as well. And now that you've seen all of them, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on some of these just to show you a little closer up. So I've just zoomed in just to show you the three different types. So these are the original ones. These are the ones that I scooped out and I did not push down at all. Then we have the ones that I scooped out and I used our fork. Okay, those are there. And then these ones here are the ones that I used with the back of the spoon and also pushed those down. So there we have the three different types. So you have three slightly different looks. I actually like this look here and this look here. This here with the fork is typically what you're going to see on a peanut butter cookie, so I don't really like it that much on the chocolate, but you can do either way. All three of them are nice. And all of these were baked for the same time, 10 minutes in my 350-degree oven. And the last thing, let's break into one of these and I'll just show you how nice these are. Look at this. These are completely cooled, by the way, and look. Really, really nice and moist. Nice and chewy. If you want them a little bit more firm, you want to go about 12 minutes. But look at that. Really, really good. I love these. So that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. So that's it for today, and I'll see you next time. Here are the ingredients that we're going to need. A quarter cup of milk, 2 cups of icing sugar, a half a cup of peanut butter, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 tablespoons of butter, a half a cup of cream cheese, and 3 cups of chocolate chips. We're also going to need a 9-inch pan that we're going to make the fudge in. The first thing you want to do is you want to microwave the chocolate chips until the chocolate chips are all melted. Okay, I'm back and you can see I've microwaved this and it's nice and melted. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take these three ingredients. So we're going to take the cream cheese, the peanut butter, and the butter, and we're going to blend them all together in a bowl. So here's the bowl. So we'll get all of that stuff out. So we'll get the peanut butter. And then we've got the cream cheese and also the butter. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and start blending this. Like that. Then we're going to take our milk and pour that in, and our vanilla, and we'll start incorporating that. Now we're going to take the melted chocolate and we're going to get that right in there. Alright, and now what we're going to do is we're going to blend this all together. Let's zoom in a little bit. And we're going to get this all blended. Hopefully our machine will be able to handle this, because it's getting quite thick now. And we'll add in the rest of the icing sugar. Get that all in there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to press it all down. And then we have to refrigerate this for a few hours before we can actually cut it. And we're going to be making some dark chocolate waffle pretzels. I have some beautiful dark chocolate here. This has a cocoa content of 72%. We're also going to need some waffle pretzels and a fork. I've got a regular kitchen fork here and a chocolate fork, which I'm going to be using today. And just a quick note, the reason why these are called waffle pretzels is that they look like little waffles. So let's get on with this really fast recipe. So this is a really simple process. You're just going to grab one of your little waffle pretzels, and you can see, it looks like a little waffle. Really fun ones to play around with. You want to just get that right into your tempered chocolate, and then just get it onto your fork, and just give it a little bit of a tap. Get most of that chocolate off, and then just get it right onto your parchment paper. I'll do another one. And the reason why I like making these at home is that the chocolate is of a much higher quality than you're going to get in these little expensive bags of these chocolate covered pretzels. The chocolate that they use is not very good quality, and you can choose the pretzels that you like. Any type of pretzel will do. I love these ones. These are really fun. I'll just give it a nice little tap, and then right onto your parchment. Do another one. And these are really fun for parties. And if you've done a really good job at tempering, you don't have to put these into the fridge. They're going to just firm up, set right on their own, right there, without even going into the fridge. I'll do another one. And this is really, really relaxing. And you can do this with any type of pretzel, even those the sourdough pretzels. This is a really, really nice finishing touch to those as well. Look at that. And this is a really, really fast video for today. Not all videos have to be really complex. Some of them can be just for fun like this. You can see how nice these look. And if you do a really, really good job at tempering, you're talking about 3 to 4 minutes maximum. By 4 minutes, you should actually see all of the chocolate really firm. So I'll do one more. And I think I hear you talking to me through the magic of YouTube, and you're saying, zoom in a little bit because I can't really see. So I'm going to put this one down, and then I'll do one more. So I'll just zoom in. So I've zoomed in quite a bit. Hopefully this is a little bit better. So I'm going to grab one of my pretzels and I'm going to stay closer to this end so you can see what I'm doing here. So first we dip it into our beautiful dark chocolate, and then I'm going to give it a little tap. And I am using a chocolate fork here, but you can use a regular kitchen fork at home. And the other thing you might be asking is, can I use a different type of chocolate? Absolutely. You could use white chocolate, you can use a semi-sweet chocolate, you could use milk chocolate, anything that you like. I'm just going to grab our beautiful little pretzel and just pop it down like that. Perfect. So what I'm going to do, I'll do a few more, and then I'm going to come back and I'm just going to show you the final product. And for our final step, I'm just removing them from the parchment and put them onto our little serving dish. And I've just got another little piece of parchment paper here. So there we have it. So you got the idea. So really, really nice. A really fun one. If you have children, try this with your kids. This is a really fun one to do. So that's it for today's really fast video. I hope you enjoyed it. That's it for today, and I'll see you next time. So for this recipe, I have some seasoned Italian breadcrumbs, some all-purpose flour, 2 eggs, and some chicken breast. So 4 simple ingredients, so let's get started. For my first step, I'm simply going to take the chicken breast and I'm just going to cut it into fingers. And you can cut these to any size you wish. So I'll cut the next one, I'll be back in a second. And our second one. Perfect. Now on to our next step. So I've cleaned up, I've got everything ready to go. I've cracked my 2 eggs, and the first thing we want to do is just break those up and whisk them together. And you really do want to beat this well. You want to make sure that all of that egg is broken up. That looks pretty good, like that. So now what we're simply going to do, we're going to take our chicken breast. First thing, I'm going to get it into our flour. And I did not season my flour, but you can if you wish. That looks good. And then into the egg mixture. Let it drain a little bit, and then right into the Italian breadcrumbs. Now, at this point, you have the option. You can stop right here and put it onto your parchment paper or your wax paper, or you can double dip, which is what I'm going to do because I like a little bit more of a thicker crust. So I'm going to go here, back into the egg. and then just let it drip, and then back into the Italian breadcrumbs. A really, really simple process. If you have kids, get them to help you out. This is really, really fun. And that looks good. And I'll get that right onto my parchment paper. And what's nice about this is that you can take your time doing this. Do all of them, as many as you want for your dinner, and then you can take this and just put this whole thing right back into the fridge. You don't have to deep fry them right away. So you can leave them here. Really, really good on the parchment paper. So I'll do another one. Into our flour. And then into our egg. And if you don't have parchment paper, you can use wax paper. I find if you don't have anything down, they do tend to stick. Let it drip off into the breadcrumbs. Okay. And then I'll go back into the egg. And then into the breadcrumbs. Make sure it's well coated. That's good. And then onto my parchment. And a recipe note, I didn't actually measure out how many breadcrumbs or flour I used. You only want to pour in your bowl as much as you need. Once you start putting chicken into this bowl, anything that's left over you're going to have to throw away. So only add as much as you need when you're making the recipe. So I'll do one more. So into our flour. This just dries off the chicken and lets the egg stick to it much better. Into the egg. Let it drain. Into the breadcrumbs. Back into our egg. And then one last time into the breadcrumbs. So you can see here that I'm going to add more breadcrumbs to finish off the rest of my chicken. That's good. And then onto our tray. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to finish up the rest of these and then I'll come back. Okay, just before we go on to our next step, I thought I would zoom in and show you what the batter looks like on the chicken breast. So this is double coated like you saw me do earlier. So now we are ready for our next step. I'm going to set up my hot oil and then we're going to start deep frying. So I've cleaned my work area up. I've got some hot oil here. This is canola oil, 350 degrees Fahrenheit at this point. And now I'm just going to take a piece and I'm going to slowly drop that in. We'll get another one. And I'm going to let this go about 2.5 minutes. So I'm going to let those go and I'll come back in about 2.5 minutes. And about 2.5 minutes later, and look at this. Really nice and brown. And this is fully cooked in that time. And it's very important that you don't have your oil too hot, because if it is, the outside is going to burn too quickly and the chicken inside will not cook thoroughly. I'll get a couple more pieces in there. But you can see how easy this is to do. We'll get that in. And I'll let that go. 2.5 minutes. If you find that yours doesn't look really nicely brown, you can let it go for 3 minutes. It really depends on your kitchen and how hot your oil is. Okay, and these look done. And I'd say these were in more for 3 minutes. They took a little longer, but these look good now. because my oil had dropped a little bit. When you start out and your oil is at 350, it's about 2.5 minutes. It depends also on the size of the piece. But there we have it, look at that. I'll do a few more. Now I usually use a deep fryer. It keeps the temperature much more constant than this. But for today, I know not everybody has a deep fryer, so I did want to show how you can do it in a pot with some oil. So what I'll do is I'm going to finish up those in there, the last one here, then we'll come back, I'm going to zoom in and I'll show you what one of them looks like inside. And our last one. And before I forget, I also wanted to mention that today I used Italian breadcrumbs, but you could have also used panko breadcrumbs and also cornflakes. Crushed up in a little baggie, they work really well also. So let me just clean up and I'll be back in a second. So just before we cut into a little piece, I just wanted to show you a little closer up how good this chicken looks. Check this out. And it smells really good. Whoa, look at all those really nice pieces in there. Okay, I'm gonna set up my little knife and cutting board and we'll cut into a piece. So let's just cut into this and I'll show you how nice it is inside. And look at that. Perfectly cooked. Smells so good. Nice little crunch. Oh, that is so good. And so tender. Really, really yummy. Super easy. I hope you try this recipe. If you do, please let me know in the comments. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. That's it for today, and I'll see you next time. Oh, that's good. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to quickly make an apple pie rose. I have an apple which I've cored. I'm going to cut that in half. And then I'm going to cut little slices. I'm going to take all of my slices. I've got 1 cup of water here, right from the tap. And I'm going to put this into my microwave on high just for 1 minute. Once they come out of the microwave, just let them sit for about 30 seconds. That's going to make them a little bit softer so that we can bend them. And now I'm just going to drain off my hot water. I'll just get them into a bowl. What I have here is a piece of my all butter no fail pie dough. And I've just cut a little rectangle. And then what we want to do, we want to just gently start taking little pieces of apple, red side up or peel side up, and just start loading them all the way along. That one is a little thick. What I have here is granulated sugar mixed with cinnamon, and I just want to get that on there all the way along. That's good. And I'm going to fold this over. Lock in the ends if you wish. I have a cupcake tin here ready to go. And then I'm just going to slowly start turning all of this. Just keep turning. And look at that. Isn't that nice? I'll put that in there. And now I'm going to pop this into my 375 degree Fahrenheit oven for about 50 minutes. All right, here we are right out of the oven. This is extremely hot right now. I'm going to let it cool down and then I'm going to unmold it and then I'll come back. But I baked it for a total of 50 minutes at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. The reason why you want to bake it a little bit longer is because there is a lot of pastry dough that has been wrapped around and you want to make sure that it's properly baked in the middle. So I'm going to let this cool down for about 15 minutes and then I'm going to remove it and I'll come back and show you the final product. This is about a half an hour later. My little apple pie rose has completely cooled, but before they cool, make sure that you use a little spatula or something plastic to get them out of your cupcake mold or they will stick. You want to get them out while they're still warm. So let's just give this a little bit of a spin. Now if you want it done a little bit less, don't put it in as long. Right here you can see a lot of that cinnamon sugar caramelized. I love that. And this is going to give a nice contrast. The outside is going to be a little bit more crunchy than the inside. The inside is going to be much more soft. But there we have it. Really, really nice. Guess I'll tilt it up so that you can actually see what it looks like and how really nice that looks. Now you could finish this off with a little bit of powdered sugar if you wish, which I'm going to do later on. But there we have it. So that's it for this really fun video recipe. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. And if you're on Facebook, you can see my video there as well. And I will also post a few pictures of this closer up on my Pinterest page, which is pinterest.com/bakelikeapro. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.